In the wake of Cassidy Hutchinson's explosive testimony before the January 6th committee, the reaction from Trump's allies and right-wing media was predictable.
Today we heard more rumors, a ton of hearsay, and wow, a lot of impeached testimony.
It was like she was auditioning for a seat of The View or the real staffers of Pennsylvania Avenue or something. It just seemed like an audition tape that wasn't going well for her.
Look at her. She's the new it girl, right? She's going to get a job offer at CNN. She's going to be a contributor. She'll probably get a book deal, and she'll waltz around at every party in Washington, go to Cafe Milano, never have to pay for another drink. So I'm suspicious of her.
The attacks on Hutchinson's credibility are largely based on disputes about one piece of her testimony, a story that she admitted to hearing secondhand about Trump trying to grab a steering wheel and lunging at a Secret Service agent on January 6th after they told him repeatedly he could not go to the Capitol. It's important to note that no one, though, is disputing that Trump tried to go to the Capitol that day, which is really the most important part of that story. You know, the attempted coup part of it. Meanwhile, a spokesman for Mark Meadows is now denying another part of Hutchinson's testimony, that he asked for a presidential pardon. But there were no denials about Hutchinson saying that Meadows basically sat back, checked out his phone as the violence was unfolding and escalating on 1/6. Listen, it's one thing to talk on Fox News or through a spokesman. It's a whole other thing to go under oath, as Cassidy Hutchinson did in front of the watching world. If Mark Meadows and other Trump officials really want to correct the record, they could do the same. Congressman Liz Cheney spoke to that in a speech on Wednesday night.
Her superiors, men many years older, a number of them are hiding behind executive privilege, anonymity, and intimidation. But her bravery and her patriotism yesterday were awesome to behold. Little girls all across this great nation are seeing what it really means to love this country and what it really means to be a patriot. And I want to speak to every young girl watching tonight. The power is yours, and so is the responsibility. And let me also say this to the little girls and to the young women who are watching tonight. These days, for the most part, men are running the world, and it is really not going that well.
Joining me now is Olivia Troy, a former top aide to Vice President Mike Pence. She worked directly with Cassidy Hutchinson during her time at the White House. Olivia, it's an honor to have you with me today. I want to start by asking you about these attacks on Cassidy Hutchinson. You went through something similar when you left the Trump administration and you started speaking out against Donald Trump. I personally find it to be no surprise that the nasty things being said about Cassidy center around her being, quote, just a girl or some type of gossipy hen. Woman to woman, do you find these attacks on Cassidy to be sexist?
Absolutely. It's completely offensive. And look, I just saw a tweet this morning, apparently, by the former president's son, Don Jr., calling her the coffee girl. Well, okay, so that coffee girl, I was the Homeland Security advisor to Mike Pence. I briefed her. I often briefed her on things that were happening because I knew that that was going to be relayed to Mark Meadows. She also reached out when she needed information for Mark Meadows. That coffee girl, in quotes, rode in the motorcade many, numerous times. And she was by Mark Meadows' side on the Hill, and everybody knows her name. But here's the thing. Okay, so let's say she's a coffee girl. She was the coffee girl who witnessed a crime in action, and she has witnessed this firsthand. And so I don't see them talking about the facts. Right? They're not disputing all these other things. They're kind of trying to figure out how they navigate around this because they're trying to discredit her and they're trying to undermine her name, her credibility. But they do this to anybody who comes forward and speaks the truth. They've done it to me. They've done it to Liz Cheney. It doesn't matter. But you look, it's the same old shtick.
Olivia, and to that point then, it is the same old shtick, as you say. It's kind of their page out of the playbook to basically avoid the facts, the evidence, the reality, and to basically go after someone because it's the only way to discredit them from being able to continue to spread the truth. So, Olivia, how does somebody like Cassidy Hutchinson fight back against that? Does she just continue to lay low? Does she continue to speak about it? What exactly would be a suggestion or advice you would give? Because I know, listen, let's speak frankly, Olivia, it hasn't just been people coming after you. You've had death threats, and we heard some mentioning about that during that hearing about witness intimidation. So what's next for somebody like Cassidy Hutchinson?
The intimidation and the bullying is real. And like when I saw those clips that you just played on Fox News where they're talking about her and they're saying, oh, she'll be at Cafe Milano. Yeah, she may be at Cafe Milano, but she'll be watching her back. And she'll get the threats on the street. She'll get people showing up at her house. We've been there. And so I think the best thing that Cassidy can do is just continue telling the truth. The truth is on her side. And, you know, America has seen it. There's no way to discredit the fact that she went before millions of people on national TV watched her tell the truth about something that was very serious and something that is still part of a movement that still exists out there today, that's still a danger to our country. And she deserves great credit for that because her bravery is significant. This girl is young. She had a career in Republican politics. They can disparage her, but look, she worked on the Hill. She worked on the Hill for Scalise. She worked on the Hill for Ted Cruz. She worked in legislative affairs. She's a known entity. She's a true Republican who took a stand. And so there's no taking that away from her. But her life will never be the same. And she will face this, and this will follow her. And I just hope that hopefully other Republicans will start to see the light and kind of start to turn away from this darkness that's engulfed this party for so long.
Olivia, although I do think this is a sideshow issue about what happened inside the Beast or the SUV or whatever with Secret Service, you did tweet about Tony Ornato. He is one of the Secret Service agents that Hutchinson named during her testimony on Tuesday. You called out Ornato for denying other conversations in the past, saying you know where his loyalties lie. There's another former White House staffer, Alyssa Farah Griffin. She then captioned your tweet saying Ornato lied about the infamous Lafayette Square incident in the summer of 2020. Who has more credibility in your mind, Olivia, Cassidy Hutchinson or Tony Ornato?
No doubt, Cassidy Hutchinson. Tony has a credibility problem. And I think that in the days to come, I think more will surface about just who Tony Ornato was and is. It's still today. And look, I think that's important because like I come from a national security background, and Tony Ornato's actions or inactions also are very concerning because this is someone who is part of the Secret Service. And I have tremendous respect for the people that serve in the service. I've gotten to know them. I certainly respected Mike Pence's details greatly. And so this is someone who is bringing actually shame to the Secret Service. And look, she didn't claim that she witnessed it, right? She wasn't there. She claims that she was told that story by him. And if he wants to refute it, then I think that he should go testify under oath in public and tell everyone why then he decided to tell this story about this incident.
To your point about people coming forward and testifying under oath in front of millions of Americans, if not the world, about what happened that day, you worked for Mike Pence. What are the chances that we're going to hear from your old boss, Mike Pence, before the 1-6 committee to talk about what happened in the days leading up and the day of 1-6?
Honestly, I think slim to none. I think he has made a political calculus that it's best for him for a 2024 presidential run not to come forward and let other staff speak for him. And look, I think that's very unfortunate. I think that Mike Pence, given everything that he witnessed and the amount of pressure on him and the fact that the mob came 40 feet from him, his family, and his attorneys and the staff that were there, I think he owes it to the country to come forward and be honest. If Cassidy Hutchinson, who's in her 20s, with a long future ahead to face all the vitriol that she's facing today that will follow her for the rest of her life. If women her age can do it, I've done it. We've taken a stand. Why can't he?
I guess to Liz Cheney's point then, Olivia, maybe it's the women that are going to save the world. I thank you for your time, and I appreciate your service. Thank you.